Okay, it is 7:01, June 1st, and I'd like to call to order the Townsend Housing Authority meeting. Can I get a roll call, please?
Laura Schifrin here.
Chaz Sexton-Duranian here.
Courtney Riley's here. Natalie, you're on with us as well. Okay, well, we can get started and call on Natalie when she's back. So this meeting is being recorded. And I'd like to go ahead and do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Any additions and deletions to the agenda? I do not have any at this time. Does anyone else?
I do not.
And we'll move on to 1.6, the state representative report, Chaz.
It'll be very short this time. I just want to let everybody know that all the paperwork is in to the state. I did get a confirmation email back that said that they're just they do a background check, and the background check takes a couple of days. So I'm assuming that once that gets through, then we'll be all set for another 5 years. But until I hear, I'll let you guys know.
Great. Natalie, you're here.
Don't ask.
That's okay.
My apologies.
That's okay.
I don't know. It's been a long week. Right, Chaz?
Yes, it has.
Vacation next week. Good. Okay.
Okay. And Chaz, and that was it?
Yep, that's all I have for this week.
Okay. So I know we have a 7:15 appointment and we are early, but looks like Carolyn, you are here. If you wouldn't mind introducing yourself. Welcome.
Thank you. And thank you for allowing me to come. I'm Carolyn Reed, and I'm the Executive Director of Habitat for Humanity, North Central Massachusetts.
Great. So I saw that you had reached out kind of looking for, see what kind of opportunities are here in town. So I don't know if you want to speak to what you've been doing and what you're working on now.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So I know that we've built in Townsend before, and it was a great experience. And so I'm trying to reach out. We currently serve 30 cities and towns from Acton out to Athol. And so I'm trying to reach out to every town to make sure that everybody knows about the programs we have, because we have expanded it a bit, and also talk about some of the other affordable housing options that are available now. So Habitat, as you know, builds homes, and our affiliate builds 2 new homes a year. Right now we're finishing a home in Hubbardston and starting one in Acton. And then we also have property in Leominster and in Stowe, and we're looking for property beyond that as well. So we build 2 houses, but we also do critical home repairs. So our goal with a critical home repair is to maintain the affordable housing stock that we have in the region. So we work with any homeowner in any town who owns what we consider an affordable house. So generally 1,800 square feet or less. And for both programs, the homeowners have to earn less than 60% of area median income and have a need. So for the critical home repair, it has to be something that would allow them to stay in the home. So it could be accessibility, safety, security, weatherization. And for the families moving into the home, they have to be living somewhere that doesn't meet their needs. And it could be for that, including size and affordability. And then a willingness to partner. So for both programs, the homeowners will help to build their house. And those doing a critical home repair, as they're able, will do an 8 hours of service for every $1,000 we spend in materials. So I want to make sure that you all know about that and have it as a resource for people in town. And so those are the 2 major programs. And then some of the newer options that we have for affordable housing from the state include 40R, which is a zoning overlay district. And that can be combined with the MBTA rules. Now, you guys are not an MBTA community, or are you?
Yep, we are.
Okay. So the 40R can be combined with that, and 40R is mixed use zoning. So the town would pass mixed use zoning. Any affordable housing could count towards the MBTA because it's fairly dense with 40R. And 40R can be combined with 40S, which gives towns relief for education expenses for the families moving into town. So it's a really great option for towns. A lot of towns are also using some of their ARPA funds to buy land for affordable housing. And we partnered with some towns on that. In Hubbardston, it's either going to be CPA funds or ARPA funds that allow us to finish up the house that we're building there. And you guys, I don't believe you have inclusionary zoning yet or CPA, correct?
No, and those are hi Carolyn. I'm Chaz Sexton Duranian. My official title here is the state rep for the Housing Authority. I'm also a selectman here in town.
Excellent.
Okay. Definitely everything that you're talking about is something that we have options and availability for. 40R is something that our planning board's been working on.
Excellent. Oh, good. Good to hear that.
The CPA is something that we're looking to get passed in probably next year or the year afterwards. We're kind of looking to straighten out the budget and getting things in order fiscally for the next couple of years before we can even reach out to something like that. But that's definitely in the works, and we do have it on our housing production plan.
Oh, excellent.
Yep. So our housing production plan just got approved the beginning of this year, and we're waiting for final approval. The second piece that you had mentioned, the 40R, is interesting to me. And we currently have we established a housing trust. And the housing trust that we have submitted 6 different parcels of land that were town-owned land to the housing trust. And I know that the housing trust is actively looking into what their development options are on some of those tracts of land. So I think this is why Courtney has asked you to come here, so that we can kind of vet out some things for them and see what we can do for there. And the final thing, you guys get to hear my pitch. You've never heard my pitch, right? I just talk about what I do, but now they actually see me in action. We also have a parcel of land. It's about 11 acres. There's a good piece of it that's buildable. I do believe, Lori, didn't we have this in our 40R? I can't remember if the Dudley Road land.
Yes.
So we did have that there. So there's an option, Carolyn, there that we're looking for. Multi-use. We have tried to look into, we wanted veterans housing there at one point with some transitional housing. Next to that parcel of land is our senior housing, and we also have the affordable use building that we have. It's a 35-unit building. We were looking to possibly build a smaller unit, maybe a smaller building, 10 units, to take some of the overflow or transition. So when the seniors right now, there's about a 2-year wait to get into the senior housing. So we wanted to be able to provide some kind of temporary housing for them before they actually move into the senior unit. So those are the kind of things that we have we have a lot of stuff on the burner. And I think we're a little gun shy, but we want to be able to start, developing some of this and really getting some affordable options for our clients here.
Great. And that's wonderful. I love to hear all of that and all the things you're looking at, because it really will help. Because as you guys know, right now, the need is so enormous for affordable housing. And for us, we work in home ownership, but also support affordable renting. So other ways that we can satisfy the need. And I know for the Acton House, we just opened family selection. We've already given out 30 applications. We have 6 back. So we just have a great need in our region for it. And one of the things we do and have done in the past is partner with towns to help you provide that affordable housing. So it is smaller than what you guys would provide. So it's 1 or 2. We've done a number of duplexes, but it does allow for home ownership. We never charge interest. So the mortgages really are affordable to the homeowners, and they are deeded affordable in perpetuity.
Oh, good. Okay. So and I'm not speaking for the entire board, but I know that a couple of us have had, I mean, we need direction. We want direction. We have a really good focus on what we want, but it's the nitty gritty on how to put it together, and partnering with an organization like you. We've been looking at CHAPA as well, you know, and trying to partner with DHCD to be able to take those next steps. But being a smaller community and really just kind of building our housing authority, you know, we definitely need some hand-holding in the beginning.
And that's part of what we do when we build a home is we do file the LIP LAU application with DHCD. So we work really closely with them too. We work with the town on the regulatory agreement that does allow it to be affordable forever. Mm-hmm. And we do handle the lottery. We do that ourselves.
Oh, good. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's very good to know.
Yeah, it is. And it's, we end up, so because we have the 3 criteria for home ownership, you have to earn less than 60%, have a willingness to partner, which is helping to build your house, and the need. So our lotteries tend to be a little smaller because the qualifying families have the highest need, but we still do a lottery.
So you're in North Central. So we are, we're fortunate but unfortunate in a couple of respects, being in where we're at, because of the AMI that we are dealing with. It's fortunate for us for some of our if somebody wants to build affordable housing, because they can charge a higher rent because we're in there. But it also kind of the downfall on that is that we're not an affluent community like Cambridge or, you know, something like that. So it is a little difficult for us to, if we are, you know, if we find that we have to give, you know, 50%, if we find a program that's a 50-50 program, we just don't have the available funding to be able to do that. And that's why we wanted to get the trust going, so that if we could build the funding up enough so that we'd be able to do that. Lori, I'm going to speak for you on here. Carolyn, if we had, you know, where we may have a person that's willing to put together, let's say a 3-unit or a 4-unit kind of building and all of that kind of stuff. It's not really a developer per se. It's somebody that's looking to help out the community with housing. How would we as a small town go about doing something like that?
So it's not a developer. So for it to get on your subsidized housing inventory, you'd still have to file the LIP LAU. So, and I don't know if CHAPA would be able to help, or the Regional Housing Service Organization, one of those organizations might be able to help. And depending on what the developer wanted to do, we could partner with them as well and help on that side.
Okay.
If we did partner with a developer, it would have to follow the Habitat guidelines and structure. So we would have to be serving families that earn 30 to 60%. So I know DHCD allows towns to go up to 80%, and we generally don't do that. We serve the lower income population. But I know other developers, especially if it's a smaller development, it gets a little hard because there is a lot of extra work you need to do to get it on the subsidized housing inventory, and a lot of knowledge that you have to have.
Right.
But we'd, of course, be willing to meet with the developer and talk to them and help them in any way we can.
Okay.
Because that's what we do. We want more affordable housing.
Right, exactly.
In any way we can get it, yeah.
Lori, you got any questions?
No, we've reached out to CHAPA. CHAPA has referred us to LIP, or DHCD,
yeah.
DHCD. And we were supposed to meet with them today, and one of the parties couldn't make it, so now it's changed to tomorrow. I did have the owner of the property was here, so that really didn't work out today, but hopefully it will tomorrow. It's just, I think, knowing the process right now, and Not sure. I'm not sure how that's going to work with Habitat, because we're looking to see what the guidelines are through LIP to get affordable housing, rental affordable housing. So he's planning on a 3-unit building, 2-bedroom, 1.5 bath. He's not looking for labor. He's not going to do that. He owns the property. He will continue to own the property. He doesn't mind any deed restrictions for affordable housing income to meet those guidelines, because in Townsend, we are Middlesex South. So our income levels are higher than they would be in Worcester. Okay. And so that's how I've been able to talk him into doing this for the town. While this is a great opportunity, the building could not be salvaged. He needs to put in a new septic anyway. It's town water. It's sandy soil. It's an acre lot. It has so many good things about it, and he's going to keep it. So he has agreed to do that and work with the town so that we have 3 more units.
That's great. Yeah, the DHCD is the right place to be. And
Okay.
I don't know if it's Rieko or someone working with her, but they can step you through it. And if you ever do need a sample marketing plan, we can give that to you. If you want to see a sample of a LIP LAU application, we can give that to you.
Yeah, that would be great. That would be great if you could get that to Jody, and then she could share it with the Housing Authority and with the trust.
Yeah, Jody is our illustrious admin.
And I'll show you our marketing plan. It does end up being specific in some ways to Habitat, because we talk about our criteria, but the plan of how you have to market an affordable unit is the same for everybody.
Mm-hmm. Now, we also, I didn't mention that we had, I don't think it was last year, but it was a year before, the planning board had passed affordable accessory apartment type thing. And we had, at the time, it seemed like it was a good idea. In going through with our consultant that helped us write the housing production plan, they said you might need to really look at that and see if it's if it's really worth it. I think it's worth it, just for it to have the options, but
right.
It is like you said, it is problematic as far as the getting a unit on the inventory, and to keep it on the inventory, and there's a lot of things that the landlord has to abide by. So that's what they're saying. Wasn't that Courtney that she was saying that it was problematic?
Yeah, and I think they also were looking to lift the affordable piece just to, in general, create more housing, right? Like that it would free up not just for affordable, but for the need in general in the community as well.
Well, it allows more density and a bigger variety of housing.
Right. Right. So as far as your process is concerned, you said that you're looking for newer opportunities. What's the process?
So it depends working with the town. So we get our land a number of different ways. So sometimes it's just individual landowners who donate it to us. And the property that we built in Fitchburg last was that. Sometimes it's a developer who either, instead of doing a deed in lieu or was required to do some affordable units, will work with us. So the 2 that we built in Ashburnham, a developer had purchased the property for us. He had done the site plan and the septic plan for us. And then we built the 2 affordable housing units, and the planning board approved that. And then a number of ways, a number of times, Acton and Hubbardston are 2 where the town took a property for tax non-payment, went through town meeting, had it designated for affordable housing, and then put out an RFP that we answered. Okay. And so that's how we're developing those 2 properties for the town. for their affordable housing. And for both of those, we are partnering with tech schools too to help us build them more quickly. And it's an awesome partnership. So we're partnering with Monty Tech and Minuteman Tech, and we've partnered with Neshoba in the past as well.
Okay.
You said you had two for, obviously, the Acton and Hubbardson are for 2022. And then do you have 2 parcels slotted for 2023?
We don't yet. So we have Leominster that we could build. We were actually kind of waiting because the developer is going to build 8 houses behind us. So we're kind of waiting for him to bring all of the utilities down the street because it'll save us a lot of money.
Yeah.
So we've got that we're going to do at some point. So we are looking for our next properties.
Okay.
So what would, go ahead, Lori.
Well, I was just thinking if there was anything, I mean, the experience we had with Habitat before and the affordable house that was built, that worked out great. It was a lot of people who helped in the town as well as the winners themselves. And I believe they're still in the house.
Yep, they are. Yeah.
So that would be great if we would just have land
Right.
you would be able to connect with, kind of thing. Well, the 6 that were given over to the trust are being studied. So if anything, if one of those ends up being a viable piece for 2023, I'm sure we'll try to do everything we can to partner.
That would be wonderful. Yeah. And we do have a site selection committee too that could assist them if they needed it. So it's civil engineers, a city planner, and a 40B developer who are on the site selection committee.
So let's talk a little bit more about that. So how would we, if we had a potential, what would we do? We would say, this is what we have for a potential, and somebody would come out and look at it?
Exactly. So I know in Stowe, before we got the property there, they had us look at 3 they had 3 options that they thought might work. And so our site selection committee then investigated them from all different avenues. So the civil engineer looked at if it needs a septic system, how will it perk? Is it near wetlands? They look at a number of different things. And then recommend whether it could be used.
Well, that's something that we could definitely pass on to the housing trust, and maybe they want, I don't know what they're doing as far as looking for the viability of what they have for building, but you know, they can have somebody like this to come in and look at it. Lori, what do you think?
Well, yeah, I'm thinking that Jones said, isn't that part of the DLTA grant? They got some that MRPC was helping them look at the viability of those lots as well.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're a great organization to help too. Yeah.
Well, I think a couple of them were on smaller lots too, right? Like not huge, but big enough to do something with, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And then I think the trust can think as a town, if you would, if they think that some zoning relief would be granted or not, and that can factor into whether the lot is something you would want to use for affordable housing.
As long as the impact, I mean, we all support that, as long as the impact does not affect adversely the groundwater,
right,
or anything that the Board of Health would restrict.
Yeah, and I don't think any town would pass zoning relief on that. It's more on lot size setbacks.
Right.
Yep. And I did want to mention, as you were talking about the town being involved last time, we do, that's part of the model, is when we build in a town, we start a local project committee, and they are involved in every single part of the build. So they help us. We have someone from the local project committee who will sit on family selection. They'll become a family advocate to help the family get acclimated to the town and learn about the town. and then make sure that all the townspeople know what's going on as we move forward.
Yeah, I mean, we had great success the last time, and I know that we definitely want to be able to partner. So I'm going to start to pick your brain now, Carolyn. I hope you don't mind.
Absolutely.
The MBTA communities, what's your thought on that?
So for housing density, I like it because we need more housing. The only way that prices are going to come down is if we have a lot more supply than we do right now. So I get what Charlie Baker is trying to do on that. I'm very disappointed that he didn't require any affordable housing in the MBTA regulation, the MBTA use regulation. So I would have liked to see that, but towns that have inclusionary zoning, then there is an affordable component if you've already passed that. And so as an aside, I'm on the Affordable Housing Trust for Lancaster, which is the town I live in. And so we're an MBTA community as well. And we just are finishing up our 40-hour regulations. So I like how the two can come together and how you can have both work together to help you meet that guideline.
Right.
Or that requirement, rather.
And the availability for a larger parcel like that, in our particular area, I mean, the majority of our community is pretty natural.
Right.
We had identified with our housing production plan a corridor of opportunity, we called it. And that's something that probably is where we would need to focus on smaller units, multiple smaller units, or be able to look at the corridor that we've identified and see what the options are available to that. But I think it's a great opportunity to expand affordable housing. Townsend is just such a unique situation that it's kind of hard to take something that the legislature has said this is what our qualifications are, and then we look at our town and go, well, it doesn't fit in anything we have.
Exactly. Where do we find those 50 acres?
Yep.
Even if you take it from multiple places, it's still a challenge. Yeah.
And we have all private septic, which is a very big challenge with that.
Yep. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It almost means that for some of those, to reach the unit guidelines, you would need some larger partner, a for-profit.
Or creative ways to take care of the waste.
Yeah.
I think it's possible, Courtney, have 3 or 4 different options to be able to do that. It's just finding the right things to put together to make it happen.
I know. And it takes a lot of discussion, because if you combine it with 40R, then you have to look at all of the different guidelines, but then you at least have the income from the commercial properties or the retail properties that can help offset.
Yep. Well, where do we go from here, Madam Chair?
Well, it sounds to me like we need to maybe talk a little bit with the trust and see if it makes sense to connect with the trust and see where they're at right now and go from there. That seems like our most viable, kind of path right now is through the parcels that we currently have. So, and then Carolyn, do you have anything, any literature or anything that you could just share with us so we just have it kind of in case we ever need to refer back to what kind of programs you do offer? That would be helpful.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That would be great.
I'll send it on critical home repair and the home ownership.
Yeah.
And that just reminded me of a couple more questions that I have. And Courtney, if you want me to shut up, just let me know. Okay.
Nope, go for it.
Okay. So we have had in the past couple of years, I think 2018, which runs out this year, there's the community block grant for the repairs. Can you kind of compare and contrast what your program is to what that is? Is it the same or?
So as I recall, in a town, if you use CDBG funds, usually pick an area that you focus on. Mm-hmm. In the city of Fitchburg, we do partner with them, and we are granted $20,000 in their CDBG, from their CDBG funds, to do critical home repairs.
Okay.
So we do 4 to 8 a year, depending on the year. And it allows them to get more repairs for their money because we don't charge for labor, it's cost of materials. And we do it with volunteers. We have a licensed construction manager, but the rest is volunteers. So we can do a lot for a lot less. And so we've partnered with them in that way.
So the CDBG that we've had is running out, and it would be a decision to the Board of Selectmen on whether or not we want to apply again or look at other viable options. And is this another viable option for us?
Yeah, and I'll send you information on that. I know the town of Clinton had realized it was kind of hard to manage themselves. So we're going to start partnering with them more to do more critical home repairs there.
Yeah, that's what I think, something that we're looking at, because it's the management part that it's, we need the manpower and we don't have it to be able to manage such a project, and it's been a struggle to try to keep the CBDG grant going and heading in the right direction. Let's put it that way. So that would be good if you can send all that to Jody, and then Jody can disperse it all out to us.
And I'll send the application too, just so you can see what we ask homeowners to fill out to apply to the program.
Okay.
And for that one as well, we have family advocates. So if there is a family that struggles with the application, the advocates will help.
Oh, good. And we also have a community resource individual that we just hired, who is fabulous. That she is being able to confidentiality. I'm in the human services field, so confidentiality is really big with me. And she does a great job of making sure that she's hooking up the individual with the right resources that they need. Right. And having you on her Rolodex, I think, is going to be important. Yeah. Did I just say Rolodex? Boy, I did it myself, didn't I?
Little flashback.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions, anybody? Okay. Well, Carolyn, I want to thank you so much for coming. I think it's been really helpful and informative. So I really appreciate it. And we'll definitely send over and reach out if there's anything that we think fits.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for letting me come and for partnering with us before. And I look forward to working with you all.
Super. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you.
You guys have any other thoughts before we move on? Good.
Well, that was some good information.
Yeah. All right. So number 3, the work session under 3.1, we had the HPP next steps and some target goals. And then kind of under that, we had the planning board piece. Lori, if you have any update on that, on the master plan chapter.
I do not. I can't even tell you how straight out I am. I just came back from Westminster. Today's the 1st of the month. And now I chair planning board. So, yeah, my plate's a little full with that. Nothing. We have not approved a master plan. But the planning board is in agreement to add, our last conversation was that we would add specifically the goals from the HPP, okay? Those sheets would be incorporated as an amendment to what has already been presented and part of the plan, referencing the full plan. So the full plan is not going to become part of the document, but the goals will be. In talking with a couple of other people who were on planning board before, the fact that the data is so outdated, they want to see something inserted about getting updates with the 2020 census sooner rather than later. In other words, not waiting 5 years or 10 years for the next plan. But as we talked, well, when Chaz was still on planning, was there's no reason why 1, 2, or 3 chapters, whatever the planning board feels is necessary, can't be updated each year. So you're not looking at having to do this whole thing in 1 year to satisfy a state requirement. If we do something like that each year, then it will always be viable for grant resource if you update it each year. So that's what the plan is. I guess I had more of an update than I thought because I started thinking.
So, Lori, is it that, having what has been submitted approved to a point so that it can start being updated? Is that what you're saying? Like chapter by chapter? Like taking the document the way it is and submitting it and then update a chapter as you go along? Or are you...
It's very frustrating and a number of the members on planning feel this way, that number one, it didn't totally follow the guideline of the state. The plan itself did not follow, and this was stated in one of our meetings by one of the members of planning. So that's frustrating because we don't direct them as to what to do. You have a bunch of individuals with all, coming from different spaces, and they're going to put this together. That's what the planning board entrusted in that group. So now I don't see how we get out of accepting it but adding an amendment to it, because we do have that charge. It is within the planning board to approve or disapprove, to bring it forward or to vote it as it is and implement it. That's within the planning board. It's not within the BOS. It's not within an annual town meeting. It's within the planning board. And it's sad because, in my mind, because a lot of time and money's been spent, and we have many delays during the process, and this is what we have. Not something that we're real excited about, or really happy. So, and I hate to say that because I respect everyone's time and efforts that they put into things. So, but we do have that option. I spoke to Beth about it. We do have that option to draft an amendment that is approved by the planning board and a future plan, of not letting it sit on a shelf, of not letting it, we have 5 years to do this. No, I don't see that ever happening again.
Yeah.
I don't see that being a good guide for the future, or especially since it is an intricate part of getting a grant from the state.
Well, and that's my major concern, on not only for the housing authority but for other boards and committees. It is, we all went through the process of the housing production plan. It was a lot of work. It was a lot of reading. It was a lot of wordsmithing, but we have a plan and we have a roadmap, per se, to the things that we need to do. That master plan is a roadmap for other projects. And what I personally like to see, or would like to see, is these smaller projects or these smaller things, having them planned out and ready, so that when we see a grant for I don't know, small churches in small towns, we go, oh, we have that here, and pull it off the shelf and hand it to them. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. It's already done and it's already planned for. And that's how I see the master plan needs to be. Having said that, how expensive or how difficult would it be to find somebody like Goldson, like we had for our housing production plan, to be able to help the planning board kind of get that together and piece it together so that it is something that is usable for us.
I'm happy to, or Jody, can you call whoever did the plan? I forget her name. I met with her.
Jennifer?
That I toured with, took her on a tour of the town.
Yeah, Jen.
Okay. Could you ask her if that's something that she would be able to do and give us a price on what it might cost, just to help her guide through us, like Chaz said, guide us through what we have and how do we simply make adjustments to it so we can move forward. Right?
You make a recommendation as well if it's not something that she specifically does normally. I can't remember.
But this is master plan. So she does housing production plans, but maybe she has worked on master plans for other communities.
I'm not saying she hasn't. I'm just saying if she doesn't, she may have a recommendation as well of some.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I remember early on I asked her about master plans, and I do believe they do.
Okay. So, I mean, I'm happy if they do, and she's willing to have a conversation with me.
Or just to give us guidance.
Yeah. As to how to incorporate that. Has she ever seen that happen before? That kind of thing. Mm-hmm. I still have documents for you, Chaz, here sitting on a chair. Old documents on a master plan for Townsend that was done by outsiders. That was not done by people in the town, but it ended up with somebody I knew at the state. So could be interesting. I've not had time to read it, but I will give it to you.
I mean, there's a lot of opportunities for a lot of what we do. There's a lot of very talented young individuals. We have a young guy that's doing our website, but his knowledge of municipal government is pretty extensive for an 18-year-old. Talking to him sometimes, I'm like, oh my God, it's like I'm talking to a 30-year-old that's been in government for like 10 years,
Well, he may be reincarnated.
That's true.
He got from somewhere.
Yeah.
But, so are you saying to get a high school senior?
Or we could get somebody somebody in college that's intern, all we need to do is verify their hours.
Would that be part of like a political science major?
Absolutely. Or government. What would that be called, Courtney?
I don't know if a planning major might do it too. I'm not positive on that, but that's, they obviously do a lot of that work as well.
Yeah. Like political science or,
well, there's a full planning majors too. Like, just like city planning and town planning. Like those are, the actual majors as well. I'd have to look at.
I'm looking for a way to nicely I don't know if correct's the right word, but get out of this situation that we're in and help us move forward.
Yep. And I'm trying to throw some options at you.
So that's where I am.
Mm-hmm.
Is that enough for my report, Courtney?
Yes. Anything
Well,
else?
the multi-family bylaw thing.
Yeah, that's me. So we can move on to that one. I have been working on gathering some things. It's been taking a little longer than I anticipated, but I do have some stuff. But do you have any comments before we go on? No. Okay. So I've been trying to find, gather some stuff for us to look at. Definitely taking a while, but I have a kind of condensed kind of version that has a lot of caveats to it, but I just wanted to show you guys what I have now. So that is why I'm sharing the screen. Here. Okay, can you guys see that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is, I tried to kind of condense a table down of some surrounding towns from us, just strictly on their kind of residential districts in particular, and kind of compare them to what we have, just so that we can understand what's being allowed where. So, for instance, this is our residential A and our B. The lot size here, 2 acres and 3 acres. Our frontage, obviously we don't have sewer service, and what's allowed, and our max coverage. So just to compare that to other ones, a lot of the other towns are all lot size or in square footage. So obviously for all intensive purposes, 40,000 is around an acre, just for comparison. So Ashby, right next to us, their residential district is a 40,000 lot size with a little bit smaller frontage, no sewer service, and they allow single family. So just to give us a comparison of where other people are around us. I think obviously what you're seeing is where we're starting to see 2 families are in places where there are obviously septic service. And what's interesting about Ayer in particular is that they have 2 different lot sizes. So a single family in their A2 district has a smaller lot size than obviously their 2-family version. But you still have to go through a special permit for either one of those in that case. So just to kind of see that. The other thing is in Ayer, 2-family is also allowed in by special permit in their larger lot district here. That particular one has some limited septic source service available. So I would say it's probably got 60% or so coverage with that. So I'll be interested to see if I can find anything about what, if they have anything specific around 2 families in areas that have septic versus sewer. And then again, a couple others. So Ashburnham, also near us, has some limited sewer service. 2 families are allowed by special permit. There, which is actually most of the ones, kind of these adjacent ones to us. Pepperell, as you know, has a lot of different districts that varies quite a bit. So they have rural residents, has a roughly, comparable to our RB and about a 2-acre lot, similar lot frontage. It has very limited sewer service, but it still has 2 families allowed by special permit. So I think that one's an interesting comparison. But as you can see, as we kind of go down through the districts, they get more and more kind of sewer service goes up and up in those, which obviously is allowing them to have larger density in this case. So Groton actually has a lot more districts than this, but I really just took the 2 that were closest to ours in this case, just to kind of show you again a comparison. 2-acre lot, a little bit more frontage, very limited sewer service, but they do allow a single family and 2-family without a special permit, which is interesting. But a multifamily, so anything above a 2-family is allowed by special permit in some of those areas. Lunenburg, similar. I just took the kind of closest 2 residential districts that were, close to us in terms of limited sewer service. Again, single family and 2-family are allowed by zoning, but townhouse multifamily by special permit. So these are just kind of helping me try to collect where I'm actually finding some of these things for multifamily zoning. So I'm just trying right now to find what's allowed where, what's similar to us, and then I can actually pull some of the examples.
Okay.
I don't know if that's helpful to everybody, but for me, it was an interesting kind of comparison.
Well, it does give us some direction.
Yeah.
Courtney.
Yeah.
So with these, I mean, we limit ourselves when we're at 2 and 3 acres.
Yeah, that's actually what jumps out really quickly, right? Is that a lot of these other towns, even in the areas where they don't have sewer service, they have some smaller lot availability, right, built in. Even if it's not, specifically affordable, they're just allowing people to build on smaller lots, which I think is very quickly noticeable by this.
And I don't know that we need to be, again, I have a 1 acre lot. We have septic systems on half-acre lots. So, and that's only viable in certain areas of town. Obviously, if you have wetlands, you can't do that. But if you're in sandy soil and you have good, perk rates and stuff like that.
Well, I think the key is also you're connected to town water, right? Because as soon as we have a well, that's a different situation.
Yeah. Yes. Mm-hmm. So I mean, we certainly in planning if the housing authority has a recommendation that it would like to make to the planning board will then try to look at it and devise a bylaw change, a tweaking of the bylaws that we already have to help accommodate. And we do have to look at something like that. Mm-hmm. Because I know that people complain about the taxes, people complain about the cost of everything, and then they don't want to see any more building. It doesn't compute. Mm-hmm. So I see what I mean. I think you can recommend bylaw changes for the planning board to review. And then I thought at the last meeting, and I'm sorry that I've, again, not been able to look at them, but I think you said that there were that Jen had a couple of suggestions to our bylaw changes bylaw changes.
Correct. And I think they're related to this, with different non-conforming lots as well. So I think right now I'm just trying to gather what are people doing around us so that we have some examples to look at. Uh-huh. I'm trying to figure out, are they even comparable or not to us? Because I can't obviously pull a bylaw that's completely out of left field from what we are here. So that's why I'm trying to kind of collect these, see what's similar, and then go in and actually find those pieces of bylaws that are similar to what Jen was recommending.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
That's the direction we need to go in. That's exactly what I think we need to do. Yeah. The recommending to the planning board is something that we need to do because that's what we said that we were going to do in the housing production plan.
Yep.
Yep. So I think Courtney, continue on doing what you're doing. The duplex, the triplex we talked about last time, mm-hmm. Those are all viable options. It doesn't necessarily mean that we're trying to push something or, increase density and all of that kind of stuff. It means that we're looking at all options available so that, if we find something for a particular situation, it's going to help us out not only with the housing, but Lori's right. We've got to increase our tax base. We've got to, increased housing is going to generate more Revenue. I think businesses need to be, we need to start marketing more business downtown. And in order to be able to do that, we need to have, a nice inflow and outflow of what we have for housing. And it doesn't necessarily mean affordable housing. It means all kinds of housing.
So I'm going to keep kind of going, forging ahead and trying to gather examples so that, Lori, we will have at some point have something to be able to recommend to planning and with a few examples, hopefully. So that's where I'm moving on this right now.
Well, go ahead, Lori.
No, I was going to say, in the meantime, I think we all in the land use department, we all need to be focused on supporting any development or developers who want to build in Townsend, and if they need a variance or if they need a waiver or if they need something, I'm not saying monumental or detrimental, obviously, but something that isn't going to be detrimental to help the process move along quickly, we should. Mm-hmm. We should stand by those people rather than standing by an old bylaw or something that just is not effective today, doesn't work in the world that we're living in right now. Variances and waivers can be given if supported.
And I think that's the way to go, Lori. I agree, is that when there is some interest, instead of saying, nope, bylaws say this, have a good day, we need to say, well, what are you looking to do? And maybe we can come to some kind of an agreement to move forward with this. I agree with that.
Rather than the steadfast, no, not in my backyard, I want my surroundings to stay the way they always were. Well, nothing is staying the way it was in this world. What makes you think it's going to stay that way in your neighborhood? It doesn't happen. More and more people are coming in. The world is changing. Less and less people are working. Everything is kind of upside down. We can only do one day at a time. We're planning, but we need to be able to react to the situations that we're in, mm-hmm. and be proactive where we can help, not leave it to somebody else, or, oh, too bad, or, well, what does that do?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I agree. I agree, Courtney. That's some good stuff there.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I'll keep working on it, like I said. And if it's helpful for anybody, just let me know, and I can kind of send you that draft out if it's helpful to look at all. Okay. Just the comparison. I think, like I said, you can find some good things in that. So. Okay. I'm gonna go on to 3.2. Review the SHI list from DHCD. And Jody, I was just trying to find it because I believe you sent it to me earlier. Where you put it in the Dropbox. It was one of them. I saw it earlier. So let me see.
In so many places. I sent it in the email with the agenda and the minutes and this.
Okay. Got it.
I'm pretty sure this is the one from the housing production plan as well. Mm-hmm.
Sorry, just taking a minute to grab it there. Okay, can you guys see this?
I don't know if you, I don't know if I sent this to all of you or just to Jody and Chaz, because I I didn't understand perpetuity. On some of the properties, I didn't understand Atwood Acres affordability expiring in 2029. I thought that was perpetuity. And I thought that the others, being the Benjamin condominiums, on Main Street, those are all individually owned. Are they all affordable? Are they all still in, do they have deed restrictions? That 326 Main Street? I don't know what, I don't know what the other one is, the DDS. Oh, you might know, Chaz. They're okay. I guess we have them in town and they're confidential where they're located.
Those are like
they're not anyway. They're not. That's not applicable as far as the affordability expiring, but it doesn't say.
How many units?
I mean, PERP is perpetuity, right?
Yes.
Yep.
So Coppersmith Way, I thought they were 15-year deed restrictions, or they're not. They're forever.
That's what that's saying.
I know. That's what I'm, so I knew that Townsend Woods was perpetuity. That I knew. The Apple Drive home, which was the Habitat,
Mm-hmm.
I knew. Coppersmith Way, I didn't know because they have resold them, and I don't think that all the resales have been affordable.
They haven't.
Okay, so
They haven't, because we're still trying to. Isn't it if you have an affordable unit and it's sold, and it's been on the market for a year and it hasn't sold with affordability, then it goes on at market value. When it goes on market value, there is a price difference from the affordability rate to the market value, and that difference is supposed to go back to the town, correct?
now that's what I thought. And I thought I asked that question to somebody the other day, because the one that's, in fact, the one that was sent to us, and I think I sent it to Courtney and you and Jody, was the advertisement for this unit that's now on at 204 something, on just under 205, as an affordable unit. That buyer bought at 167. They're not, now, I don't know it exactly. I'm thinking that they are allowed to make a little bit of profit on their investment for the years that they live there.
Mm-hmm.
And I assume that in the difference, like, I think the property is listed in MLS. So that means that they're paying a commission probably to a list and sell agent.
Mm-hmm.
So I would think that probably all the costs associated with the sale of the property would be deducted. And then there would be a portion left that was profit. So I don't think that full profit goes to the seller per, I thought, the deed restrictions. And then that amount, or a portion of that amount, is supposed to go back to the town.
Yes.
For affordable housing. It's supposed to be put in an account for affordable housing.
Yes. This is why I felt it important that we have a trust set up, because the money should go back to the trust in that respect. Now, my knowledge, and this is, I mean, of all the years that you and I have been doing this together, Lori, you and I both know that this changes every 15 minutes sometimes. My understanding is that you're absolutely right when it comes down to where that profit is. That profit is, there's, to my knowledge now, there's only a percentage of profit that the actual homeowner is allowed on an affordable unit, and the difference then is supposed to be put back to the town.
Where do we get that answer? Where is the person that's going to give us that answer?
It would be DHCD. Because we would, in the perfect world, I'd be calling Sheila up right now, and she'd be able to find the right person for me to talk to. And this is why her former role is important for us as a housing authority, because she was able to give us the right answer. I can probably try Senator Cronin's office to see if Susan is it Susan? I can't remember off the top of my head, but there is somebody that I can talk to see if she can point me in the right direction. My best guess is that it's DHCD that's going to be able to help us out. And I really think that we need to establish some partnership with DHCD for the affordable, for the housing trust portion of it, somebody that is in their office that deals with the trust, and someone else that helps us for land acquisition. Just somebody that we were able to, like, if we have a question, Courtney, you can call up and say this blah, 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 and they can either answer it or point us in the right direction of somebody who can.
Yeah. Lori, regarding the one that was sent to us just a little while ago, that one's for sale now. I know we've talked about this before, and people sometimes ask us about places like that. Is that something that we can get out there as well, that there's a unit for sale, so it doesn't end up in the situation where it's sat on there for a year and it goes? Like, how do we get the word out, I guess?
Well, that's what she was doing when we got the email. Okay. They market it.
Yeah.
Now I'm looking in MLS, and it is not in MLS.
Right.
So I'm not understanding that. But what I don't want to see happen is what has happened before, and what happened when we were supposed to get that $10,000 seed money. It ended up in
the general fund.
Yeah. And I don't want like a closing to happen before we have an opportunity to make sure what the process is. Closing on an affordable house with no monies coming to the town.
So when we were just talking with Carolyn just now, didn't she say that they did lottery services too? Wouldn't that be part of a lottery?
They said they did for their houses. I wonder if they also do it for...
They do it for their houses. They provided service for their houses. They did it the last time when the people, on Apple Drive got it. So I'm looking at CTG and under agreement for Townsend, and that house doesn't show up. I looked at active. If I do them all, and it's...
I mean, that's the thing, is if it's not on MLS, how is, other people finding it as well? I realize they're reaching out, but, it just feels like it should be something that...
Well, some of these did, although I'm not finding anything. Well, that's a 6-month search. Wait a minute. Nothing comes up when I do everything, like even withdrawn or canceled or whatever. They are considered single family. They're not a condo. I mean, there's an association fee, I think, there, but they're not, to my knowledge, they're not. I'll put them in both ways. Coppersmith. And no, nothing comes up in anything, and I've gone back 16 months. So I guess the thing would be to go back to, well, maybe we can, Jody, maybe we can ask tomorrow, because that came from Chapa, Mariska, who is giving us RICO, which is the DCH or DHC, whatever.
DHCD. LMNOP.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe they can tell us tomorrow what's happening as an example, what is happening with Coppersmith Way.
Mm-hmm. And that's in perpetuity, right, Courtney?
It's on here as in perpetuity, but so is in everything else.
Yeah.
Well,
8 units.
This is I don't want to shoot myself in the foot by saying this. Oh, what the hell? They have to get this information for this list, Courtney, somewhere. Yeah. And this is the first time the Housing Authority, since I've been on the board, I've seen this list that has been given to us by a state agency, correct? So somebody has provided the information for this previous to us that we didn't even know about. Mm-hmm. So somebody somewhere along the line said that was in perpetuity, but it may not be.
Yeah. So can we, Jody, we want to ask this question tomorrow. Jody, who did you get this from? Department of Housing.
If you go back to the original request, it says to email DHCD, and that's what I did. And they're the ones that sent me this.
Yep. Yep.
Okay. So they
so I have.
It does match one as well. It matches the one that's in the APP.
Oh, well, that's probably where Jen got it.
Yeah.
It's from the same source. So that's the state. And how do we know that this is accurate?
We don't. And that's why I didn't want to shoot myself in the foot. I believe that DHCD sends the town this, here's your list. Can you have any updates to this? And the Housing Authority has never seen this list. And I know that they send it out, and I know that it gets sent back into DHCD. And the reason why I know this is because I caught that document going between department and department this year. Because there's no need for because there. What happened in the past is I think somebody supplied that information but didn't get the information from the Housing Authority. I don't know if it came from the land use office or it came from somewhere. But I think we should do our due diligence and do some checking to make sure that information is correct. I'm concerned about the 2029 on the expiration date, because I think that's incorrect. I think that should be perpetuity.
This says at the bottom, this data is derived from information provided to the Department of Housing and Community Development by individual communities and is subject to change as new information is obtained and use restrictions expire.
Correct. So I think we need to check the data. So where it says on the far right hand side where it says what the agency is that holds the, I think we need to be calling them up specifically and get some, ask for, I need to know, is there an expiry date on this and when it is, and can you give us documentation for this, so that when we write to the state or when I talk to DHCD with this new information, I want to be able to have some backup to it if they ask me. Because I believe some of those are off, and that's what's been sent into the state. And again, this is the first time when did I come on the board, Lori? 2015? This is the first time I've actually seen a document from the state asking us to update information on this.
I'm going to think that, before, when we had a land use coordinator, it was Karen.
Yep.
And when you look at our past housing production plans, she has always listed these properties when they were, like Benjamin, like the Turnpike Village, of course, it was talked about in one plan as coming, and then in the next plan, it was already here.
Mm-hmm.
So she would always talk about what we were working on, what was going on. The same was with Coppersmith Way. I think all of these, I didn't remember about Benjamin condominiums, to be honest with you. Did not know. Oh, well, there's only two. Only 2 units are there, and they're in perpetuity. Can we find out which 2 units it is, Jody? Because I want to look up. I can look in the MLS to see what units had transfers there. I don't ever, hopefully it's not those 2 that are supposedly designated, because I don't ever remember an affordable unit coming up there, because it would have had to have gone through the process, like the one that's coming up, number 6, Coppersmith.
Right. Right. And we've already lost one in Coppersmith.
Right. And, originally I thought Coppersmith was supposed to be 12 affordables, and this says 8.
Yep.
So what I heard at one time was there was a bridge that had to be done over a certain section, and I don't think it's that new section. I think the other one was further down from the ones that were already built, and those never happened. So I don't know. Jody, we'd have to check to see if we actually have 8 affordable units at Coppersmith. Were they actually constructed? Because a lot of the houses, the regular houses, were already up before they did an affordable one. So the 8 that's on here may have been what was in the original approved plan for Coppersmith Way, and may not have happened, because you're talking about something that went through 7 years before approval. And
I think I saw on one of those riders that for Coppersmith, it was originally supposed to be 10.
10?
I don't know. I was trying to go back and see which had the riders on the deeds. But obviously time got away from me, and I checked 3. And actually, I went through the 3 listings you sent me. And one of those does not have a rider any longer.
Oh, that was the one that probably had to go to market after a year?
Yeah, it might have been. But that one no longer has that rider on it.
So if there were 3 with riders, or 3 sales that took place?
The 3 sales that took they were recent.
Sale.
And 2 of them still have the 17-page rider that are their affordability, and then 1 does not any longer. So, and again, when I was reading it, it looked like it was originally supposed to be 10 units.
Okay.
And now there's only 8.
Okay. So I guess what's concerning to me is 3 sales and no money back to the town for affordable housing.
Mhm.
Where did the money go? It's
Well,
not,
again, it would go into the, when it came into the town, it would come in.
but
you
did
know.
it?
Oh, I'm sure it did. And it would just go into the general fund.
I want to know that it did. Because I doubt it. I want to know that it did on those 3 sales. Those three sales that took place.
How would one track that?
I wouldn't want to track that.
Your treasurer, your accountant, I don't know who.
We'd have to do a forensic audit on it.
I can't imagine that wouldn't have been called out. Like, oh, by the way, we got this money from affordable housing.
I'm sure it was. I'm sure it was called out, and somebody said, just put it in the general fund for now. We'll figure it out. And then
Jeez.
the budget season came out and said, oh, look, we have an extra $10,000. Apply it over here. So, Jody, when an affordable unit is on, what's the easiest way for us to check to see if it's still we don't do a deed search. We don't look at the deed, right?
I mean, that's what I did, but when I'm putting the deeds in, I mean, I would notice if they had the riders or not, because again, it's like 17 pages as opposed to 3.
Yeah.
So that I would notice, but I'm trying to think about how we would do this.
So on the riders, does the riders give an expiry date or whether it's in perpetuity or not? Does it say on the riders?
I would have to go back. Like I said, there was just 2 or 3 that I pulled from Coppersmith, and I'll be honest, I didn't read the whole thing.
Yeah, that's a lot of work, but
I don't know. I seem to remember. See, I'm confused as well about the perpetuity. I especially for some of these houses.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think a lot of them expire after a certain, like a good amount of time, like 25, 30 years. And I think Jen Goldson had mentioned that as well.
Yeah.
That they do fall off if you're in the house for 30 years or 40 years or 50 years, at a certain point, it's not in perpetuity anymore.
Right. And that's the
crux of it. And I don't know
that's what keeps the people in the houses. Is to keep it, to keep it as long as you possibly can.
I have to think about this because I'm also interested in what, like Lori said, if the town is receiving money from, again, I'm assuming it would be either the subsidizing agency. So where is that? Is it being earmarked? Is it like, there usually has to be some documentation as to what account it's going into and where it's coming from.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I can just start asking the treasure collector and see if they have any idea where to begin. I mean, we don't really have an on-site accountant right now, but I think starting with the treasure collector would be.
How about if we ask it's Melissa, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So how about if we ask Melissa? We know when that last sale was, Lori, correct? On that last unit?
Well, I just did a run and I went back as far as I could. There was a closing date, sale date, 5/31/2019. 5/31/2019. At that point, days to offer was 11. This was an affordable unit. It was listed and sold by realtor offices or licensed offices. I won't say realtor, licensed offices. And that was 22 Coppersmith Way.
Yep.
It was listed at 202 and sold for 217. that was listed as an affordable.
So that's $15,000 right there.
That's just, and well, let me tell you, let me give you some more. On,
But wait, there's more.
yeah. So that, the person who sold that bought it in 2008 for $195,200. $195,200 in 2008. Sold it for $217,000 in 2019. You have to look at that deed. His first deed with the restrictions in that deed from September 26th, 2008. And then what is the deed? Well, it has to be the same thing because they listed it affordable.
Mm-hmm.
Closed May 31st, 2019. So there would be one to try to follow the process of what they did and where's the money in between those amounts.
And that's 22 Coppersmith?
That's 22. So there is 17 and there's about $21,000 there. Again, I don't know how that reads. Is the owner seller in an affordable unit allowed to make money on the sale? And if so, how much money can they make? Then after all the expenses, which is not money given to the seller,
right,
but expenses for the sale, that should be going to the trust to feed other affordable housing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's one.
It's a percentage. I'm positive it's
We're just going to say, I'm wondering if it's a percentage based on how long you've been in the house.
Yep.
And then what it sells for minus the fees.
Yes, it's a sliding scale. You're absolutely right.
This other one, which was number 10, was not affordable. The sale price was $205,000, but that was $217,000. It started at $240,000. I wonder, but that it wasn't on that long to have it go that low, to be honest with you. It was listed like June 12th, went contingent on the 30th, under agreement on July 12th, and sold on July 28th, or marked, or the 27th, for $205,000. I don't remember the market being that bad in 2017, and it is not depicted as
an affordable unit.
Although it is a small unit, just over 1,100 square feet, but there is a 2-car garage, which is weird because I thought they could only have a 1-car in the affordable unit. So, Jody, that might be a deed to look at.
What was the number for that one?
10.
10 Coppersmith?
Yeah, and that last sale, according to this, is July 27th, 2017.
22 Coppersmith does have the affordable unit deed rider on it, by the way.
Yeah, well, it was advertised that way too.
Yeah.
So I'm going back like 76 months.
So I think, Jody, if we can ask Melissa if we can kind of see if anything came in from either of those sales on 22.
Well, let me start with this. You've definitely given me some work to do. Lori, you look like you're trying to give me more work to do. Let me start with this. And then we have this meeting with the HCD tomorrow, and we can definitely ask, and maybe they can give us at least percentages so we're not kind of flying blind.
Yeah. Well, that one's a good example. You got dates, you know what it is. It was marketed by licensed. So what happened?
Yeah. And see, Jody, this is why it was important for the Housing Authority to get a budget and to get wonderful people like you on board so you can help us out with this.
Oh, it's just a lot.
It is. I agree.
Okay. Anything else on that topic, or are you guys okay to keep going?
Well, we'll look for money.
Okay. So we had 3.3 Turnpike Village MCO Housing Services hired as a manager. We put this on here just to see if there's anything we needed to do with this, and I think it came in, Jody, to us where they were possibly changing changing some rent. I'm grabbing it right now. So the email that we got was MCO Housing Services has been hired to manage the affordable units for Turnpike Village in Townsend. We have revised the rents based on DHCD's guidelines for renewing rents and vacant rents attached. Before Turnpike Village can be implemented, the rents in both the town and, it's kind of weirdly written, the rents both the town and DHCD need to approve. I've attached the rents for your approval. So I think the question is that in our jurisdiction true? Is it in ZBA? Is it in someone else's? Whose jurisdiction, I guess, from the town is it to approve?
Can you send that to me?
Mm-hmm.
I think I sent it to everybody, but hang on, I'll do it right now.
And they're asking to approve the rents?
They're saying the town and DHCD need to approve.
See, again, that's something that I've never seen before.
Right. I've never seen it either.
Well, we're seeing it.
Yeah. So,
well, this came by way of Beth. She grabbed me and said, I think you should look at this. But yeah, we weren't sure whose jurisdiction, as I said to Courtney earlier, who it falls under to approve this.
Well, we're under Middlesex County for rents. So why? It should be the state that's giving us the Middlesex County approved rents. I mean, I don't have a problem looking at it, and okay, let me.
It just amazes me that these things have never made it to the Housing Authority. That should have been under our purview for.
Well, the DHCD guidelines are attached.
Yeah.
And dated July of 2021, so that, you know, everything's going to be behind a little bit anyway. Turnpike Village. Oh. Yeah, those are the one thing they don't give is I don't know what the I don't know what the sizes are of the units there.
They just have a 2-bedroom listed on here.
They have 1 and 2 bedroom. That doesn't tell me much.
I know.
But Jody, do you have that information in the assessor's office when those units are assessed, like what they are?
I think we have the square footage you're asking for.
Like square foot.
Yeah, that's usually in there.
So
Sounds like more work, Jody.
It does sound that way. This one, Lori, always with more
I'm
work.
trying to alleviate it. So I'm going to give you an example. Okay. We have some units at Country Estates that are 1-bedroom units that are like, say, 560 to 570 square feet. They rent anywhere if you're like $1,100 to $1,200 for a 1-bedroom for that square foot. They're saying 11 for their affordability. So there's nothing wrong with that, but they could probably get more. The 2 bedrooms at Country Estates now can go for $1,450. And they rent, their square foot is just under 700. Well, they can be anywhere from, I guess, 678 to 698. There might be a couple that are just over 700 square feet. But the last ones rented are $1,450. $1,250 is on the low end, so you could consider that you're affordable, but you can get more. So let's say, I don't know what the square foot is going to be, but we'll determine this later on the Highland Street 3-family, but they're going to be 2-bedroom, 1.5 bath. So 2-bedroom and a full bath up, and down will be your kitchen, living room, half bath, and they will have a basement. So easy, 1,600 on the low side for that. That would be the low side.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the garden styles at Country Estates, they don't have basements. They don't have laundry within the unit. I mean, the multifamily will have laundry within the unit, and plenty of parking and a yard. And
so how do we get to the right answer on this? We pull the square footage and take a look at that in comparison and then see if it seems to be in the rate for affordable?
Oh, I can tell you that is, I'd like to know what the square foot is. I'm thinking this is the low side.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think from there, it's once we understand that, it's who in the town approves this, right?
I would think the housing authority. I would think the housing authority, because Board of Selectmen aren't going to know. Planning board isn't going to know. That's not in, I think, anything having to do with housing. So either the housing trust or the housing authority. My opinion. I don't know. What do you think, Chaz?
Well, I think it's under the purview of the housing authority. Housing trust wouldn't really have anything to do with this, I don't think.
She writes right on here, these amounts are significantly lower than what they could be charging. Yes, yeah. That's true. Being in the business, I know that's true.
So I think it's, we could say these numbers look good to us and then send it to DHCD and let them, have the say. I honestly feel this is just like a checks and balances kind of thing.
Yeah. I can give you once you get that square foot, I can give you rentals, rented properties and their square foot, so that are recent, say within the last 12 months, that you'll have backup to the decision that's made.
I'm in there now in the Assess Pro, and unfortunately, we carry them all lumped together. Like this parcel contains 12.5 acres and then 30,000 square feet.
Oh, okay. So it's not broken
So that's
up.
not helpful.
Yeah.
Because it's not broken down by each unit.
So who's the management company?
MCO.
Regarding, where's their contact information? Office manager.
On Google.
Okay. So just
in the email, it has her contact there, Jennifer Woodsum, and then it has a phone number and an email.
okay. So I would just call her, and I don't know why they did that, but okay. Allie probably just didn't want to do it anymore, and I don't blame her. I would call this Jennifer and ask her if she has a square foot of a 1-bedroom and a 2-bedroom. And she's in Harvard. These are low rents, but I can give you MLS data for backup for any decision you decide to make. Does that sound good? I mean, if this is all they're going to rent it for, then they are affordable.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or below affordable.
So if that's the question, am I still going to try to find out the square foot? Because is that not the answer to the question?
That is the answer to the question, but it'll make more sense for me to give you the rented properties as backup if I know the square foot of what they're renting.
Okay.
Because you'll have that comparison, is what I'm saying. I have a feeling that they're even bigger than Country Estates, and they're renting for less than what Country Estates is at. So they're really below market.
So if we verify the square footage, we get the backup, and we still feel comfortable with this, we can go ahead and send them back a note that says that we will approve these. Do we need to take a vote or anything on that? Or can I go ahead and do that when we gather all the information? I can go ahead and respond to them.
Oh, we can take a vote and say that you can do that.
Okay.
So I move that we gather the data, and if it falls within the parameters that we discussed tonight, then I would say that we'd allow Courtney to sign for the board saying that we approve them.
Second.
Can I get a roll call vote, please?
Allie Call, yes.
Laura Schiffman, yes.
Chaz Sexton Duranian, yes.
And Courtney Burrell, yes. Okay. Okay, we had 3.4 MBTA community. I think we're maybe going to move on, unless anybody else has any thoughts with that tonight. Okay, great. 3.5 correspondence and clerk's announcements. Do we have anything else, Jody?
No.
Okay. Great. And 3.6 approve the meeting minutes, which were sent along by Jody for the 5/4 meeting, May 4th meeting.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes of May 4th, 2022 as received in the email. I don't remember anything standing out to me about it being wrong.
I'll second that.
Great. Roll call vote.
Allie Call, yes.
Laura Schifrin, yes.
Chaz Sexton Duranian, yes.
And Courtney Burrell, yes. Okay.
Thank you, Jody.
Yes, thank you. We want to find our next meeting date. Would the 13th work?
For me, it will, yes.
July.
I have a planning board meeting on the 13th.
Oh,
July
okay.
13th.
July?
July.
July.
I also got confused, Lori. I was like, that's Monday.
Unless you guys want to do sooner, you let me know.
No.
I'm good on July 13th.
Okay. Got it.
Sorry to interrupt, but there's a Conservation Commission meeting on July 13th, just to let you know.
All right. Skip that.
No, we can still meet.
You can still meet.
I'll get a Zoom for us if we need one, or
Oh,
we can ask.
okay.
Dave can get us a separate Zoom
Okay.
for it. So
Okay.
Well, do you want, if just in case, if we, so our first will be July 13th. What about the following, the 20th? If
Yeah.
Just
That
in
will
case.
work.
I'm okay.
Oh, no. July 20th. Sorry. I'm in Missouri. I'm in Missouri for VFW. So I won't be there.
All right,
Sorry.
that's okay. July 13th.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
At 7?
7.
Yes.
Okay.
So Jody, if you ask TCAM if they can, Dave has a second TCAM. If he can't do it, let me know and I'll do a Zoom together for you and send it.
Okay, that works for me.
Okay.
Anything else?
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we adjourn at 8:48.
Great.
I'll second.
Roll call vote, please.
Nicole, yes.
Laura Schifrin, yes.
Chaz Sexton Duranian, yes.
And Courtney Roy, yes. Thank you, everybody.